Hello, and thank you so much for being with us on this Tuesday, September 16th. I'm meteorologist Leah Pizzetti, and this is Weather Out West, the hour-long show where we showcase the latest on what's expected weather-wise across the western United States. You'll find forecasts from our meteorologists in Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, and Arizona. But first, a fun fact for you. Today is International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer, or International Ozone Day. This is a United Nations celebrated day that started nearly 40 years ago. Of course, the ozone is our precious shield around our atmosphere that protects us from the sun's harmful UV rays. Today is a day to shoot for action in protecting our ozone layer. And speaking of the sun's strength, let's first start with Washington. We'll get to our West Coast forecast. We'll start in Washington State, where a shift in wind is keeping locals on high alert today. Conditions will be warm, dry, and windy in western Washington. Meteorologist Rich Marriott joins us now to explain why we're seeing this change and when the risk will be highest.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Rich Marriott, and well, we're close to fall, but it's not going to feel like it today around Puget Sound, as we're going to see those temperatures spike up into the 80s to maybe near 90 degrees. And with that, we're also going to be looking for a first alert weather day because of critical fire danger that's developing today because of the heat, the very, very dry fuels, and also some gusty winds coming down out of the Cascades. You can see a little bit of smoke haze in the air this morning, looking out from our Everett Tower camera. We are going to see some of that smoke come across the Cascades with those east winds today. This is, by the way, only a one-day event. Things will be wrapping up later on tonight. By tomorrow, we'll be back into the 70s with onshore winds, so we'll start cleaning the air right back out again. You can see some of that haze there from the Columbia Tower cam. And out at Westport, actually a beautiful day out there along the coast today with lots of sunshine and blue water and blue sky. Checking out our countdown to fall. It's just 6 days until fall arrives officially. But like I said, today will not feel like it, that's for sure. We'll be feeling like we're in the middle of summer, and then we'll get back to more livable summer weather for the remainder of the work week. Take a look at that first alert 7-day forecast. You can see we've got the first alert weather day today, but it is a one-day heat wave basically, and things cool right back off again into the 70s for the remainder of the work week. And then actually over the weekend, we are looking for a little bit of rain to move in, probably later Saturday into Sunday. But overall, today is kind of an unusual day for this time of the year. First alert weather day because those temperatures in the 80s to near 90 degrees. Also gusty winds coming down off the Cascade foothills. We'll see some of those actually get channeled all the way close to Puget Sound, and that because of that, it's critical wildfire danger, which basically means that fires can start very easily. They can also spread quickly if they do start, and existing fires may flare back up again. And we saw over the weekend, we had some fires that were spawned right by I-5 that went up into one of the neighborhoods and actually caught some houses on fire. And that was on a day that was cooler and actually even a little bit damp. We had a little bit of light rain kind of scattered around earlier in the morning. Today is going to be really a tough day to get through without any problems developing. The Weather Service has a red flag warning out basically from the Cascade Crest all the way to just near Puget Sound. There's a little strip right along the water along Puget Sound and all the way up through Bellingham where it doesn't apply, but there's still elevated fire danger there. So you want to be very careful as you move around Puget Sound. We also have a wind advisory from the Weather Service from up there in Snohomish County down to Pierce County. That's for the Cascade slopes above 1,500 feet. They could see wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour. And with the new growth on the trees, there's a good chance we'll see some branches come down, and one of those could potentially cause some spotty power outages. Checking out our computer model, you can see looking at those winds, the winds just kind of getting underway. They should peak out around midday today. You can see mostly near the foothill areas, but there's a couple of places where they do channel out close to Puget Sound. One goes through Maple Valley on up into Federal Way out towards SeaTac, and then also up to the north into Snohomish County. There's a few places that come out a little farther away from the Cascade foothills. And then as we head towards this afternoon, they're dialing back, especially near the Sound. And then by later on tonight, pretty much done with that as we're getting ready to switch back to onshore winds. Looking at the satellite image, we do have that high pressure along the coast. That's going to move inland just to the east of us. This system is going to brush by us tomorrow, and that's what's going to give us the cooler temperatures and give us the onshore winds right back again. And that should last through the end of the week before a little bit stronger system pushes in as we head towards later Saturday into Sunday. Look at the smoke model. You see we do have that smoke haze over western Washington kind of sitting there, and then as we head towards overnight tonight into tomorrow, it starts to push it back over into eastern Washington. Not a big impact on our temperature, on our air quality. You can see moderate air quality for the Central Sound. We have good air quality elsewhere today, and then as we get those onshore winds again tomorrow, we're going to be looking for good air quality up and down Puget Sound. Take a look at those temperatures today, though. Definitely not the middle part of September temperatures. We're looking at mostly in the 80s, which you see those places down in the South Sound pushing that 90-degree mark. And then tomorrow we cool back to a lot more comfortable temperatures, getting into the mid to upper 70s with some upper 60s and low 70s up to the north. And then later in the week we drop back into probably the upper 60s to mid 70s. As we head towards Friday, it looks like another pretty good day with temperatures into the mid 70s. Then partly sunny Saturday morning, increasing chance of showers moving in later in the day, and especially on Saturday evening. Then decreasing showers Sunday. Might be a couple lingering showers, otherwise partly sunny Monday. High temperatures over the weekend and to start next week, mostly in the mid to upper 60s to right near 70 degrees.
Thanks, Rich. Washington's neighbor to the south is feeling the same conditions. The Cascades stretch from Washington into Oregon and are creating a similar setup in the western parts of the state. Meteorologist Chris McGinnis is in Portland with local impacts expected in Oregon today.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Chris McGinnis in for Rod Hill today. The weather headlines for Portland as follows. Breezy and much warmer today. In fact, that's the first headline and the first thing you're going to notice when you step outside. I'll show you more on that in a second. We dial back the heat a little bit midweek, Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but still a really nice mid-September forecast. And then our next round of wet weather comes in, we think, sometime later during the day on Saturday. And I'll walk you through that with Futurecast in just a second. First, the weather story for this morning. I'm taking you up to Timberline Lodge, 6,000 feet on Mount Hood with our camera pointed south towards Mount Jefferson and the Three Sisters off in the distance. This tells us a couple of things. One, it's clear. There's no valley fog like we had yesterday. The other thing you can see is the evergreen trees here really rocking in the breeze. So what's happening this morning is that there is a strong easterly wind component going across the Cascades and also across the Coast Range, which is having a marked impact on our temperatures this morning. And it's warmer this morning in general. The air mass above us is warmer this morning than it was yesterday. It's 54 degrees at Timberline Lodge this morning, so that's significantly warmer. Case in point here as we look across the valley, it's 14 degrees warmer right now in Portland, 22 degrees warmer in Hillsboro, and at one point we were nearly 30 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago in Tillamook. So what's going on is when you take air from higher terrain and bring it down to lower terrain, it just naturally warms, right? And so that's what's happening. The air mass above us is warmer, and it's warming as it's coming down the downslopes of the Cascades and the Coast Range. So that is setting the stage here for a very warm day across the metro area. It's sunny. It's 68, as we mentioned, at PDX, and elsewhere we're already up to 73 in Hillsboro, 72 Beaverton, 71 in Troutdale. As expected, the temperatures are starting to even out a little bit. So the places that were still kind of cool and sheltered from that warming influence of the wind, we're starting to uniform out these temperatures a bit. So Eugene has jumped out of the 40s and now up to 57 at last check. Meanwhile, temperatures across the eastern part of the state are warming as they normally would. We're up to about 60 degrees last check in the Dalles. All right, there's not much in the sky to talk about weather-wise here, so never mind, there's no cloud cover out there, but I'll throw the arrows on here because this is the driver of our weather today. A strong gradient from east to west across the Cascades, warming a lot of the west coast up today, or at least the Pacific Northwest. So a kind of a one-shot day, a one-day heat spike, and then later this afternoon, the breeze turns onshore a bit at the coast. That'll knock the coast temperatures down later this afternoon. We won't realize that cool down in the valley until after we've peaked out, but in any event, Futurecast says Portland getting into the upper 80s, same story in Longview. Before the wind shift, it's likely that Tillamook is knocking on the door at 90 degrees, and Astoria may do that as well before the breeze shifts onshore. Salem, I do think you get to 90 degrees, and again, Portland here, I think we fall just shy, but nonetheless, a really warm day today. It's certainly a lot warmer than yesterday. We were 77 yesterday. We may be there by noontime. In case you're wondering, it's not completely wild to think about hitting 90 in late September. The average latest 90-degree temperature in Portland is September 6th, but we have historically, we've done it as late as October 5th. I don't see that happening, but in any event, today, near record warmth of 88, and then we dial it down on Wednesday and Thursday. And not to get lost in the shuffle here, is that this is some just fantastic weather for midweek going into the first half of the weekend. And then we get to that shower chance. So let me show you this real quick. Saturday, our latest modeling suggests that front comes in sometime Saturday evening and lingers into Sunday. So if you're making weekend plans at this point, it's reasonable to think that most of Saturday will be dry. Sunday, though, at this point, looks like it could be a little wet. And then we dry it out for the first day of fall, which is next Monday.
Thank you, Chris. Still ahead after the break, we'll have your forecasts for Arizona and Colorado. Stay with us. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Summer heat is hanging on in Arizona. Meteorologist Ginger Jeffries is in Phoenix watching the triple-digit temperatures still sticking around in the desert.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. We'll look at your weather out west where, yeah, we are going to see a little taste of summer. Of course, summer not quite officially over, but I mean, it's September. We've got the pumpkin spice lattes out. In Costco, you can see the Christmas decorations. And instead, yeah, I've got daytime highs above the normal range for you, Phoenix, 105. Now, this time of the year, 101 degrees. That's your normal range. So we're elevated, but we're not quite as hot as we could be. So no 110s, no records on the board. But still, I'm with you. It's September. We want to get some double digits. And the good news is they are back in the forecast. But today, Goodyear, you've got to get through 104, 102 today in Scottsdale. Now, as we look ahead, because this is so key, you know, we always like to see what's happening next. We want to get you prepared, whether it's a heat wave or maybe a rainstorm. But notice the temperatures begin trending down. So after you get through today, we are dropping back to the normal range and then into the double digits. But it keeps getting better. Look at this. 5-day forecast shows we are dropping to the normal range and then falling below the normal range Thursday and Friday. In fact, that's also going to be sub-century mark. So of the next 5, 4 of the next 5 will be at or below what is considered normal. So just kind of keep that in your frame of mindset as we muddle through that 105. But then let's extend even beyond that. The 6 to 10 day outlook shows temperature is going to be fairly normal, but we've also got some rain coming in. So these two things are working hand in hand. Numbers are coming down because we're once again getting a healthy little monsoon surge. So what does that mean? Well, we've got some rain showers that will start dropping in. It's beginning to get a little more active on the east side of the state and southeast side. So closer to the mountains around Tucson. That's where we're going to see the pop-up showers today. Again, the rest of us dealing with high pressure, but that high pressure is actually going to help draw up that tropical energy for us by Thursday and Friday. So, yep, it's above normal day for us in Flagstaff. That translates to about 77 degrees. We've got 90 in Sedona. Great Lake weather, Havasu, 105, 102 today in Quartzsite, and a pair of 9s in Yuma. All right, here's the monsoon meter that I was talking about. We've got a hint of moisture moving in closer to western Arizona. Otherwise, the storm's expected to be through the Rim, White Mountains, and really focus on southeast Arizona. Now, these aren't looking to be massive storms, so the outflow factor kind of minimal at best, but we're starting to get them widespread, and the closer they get in the metro, that means our temperatures will start responding, and of course we'll raise that red flag about that potential outflow and dust storms. But then tonight we're really going to start to see some clouds building in. So even though it's a nice clear day today, we should be turning cloudy tonight, and then as we get into the end of the work week, look at this, 30 to 50% coverage. Now this is for the high country rain chances, so obviously the best action will be in the higher elevations, but here in the valley we're also seeing increased probability as a 20 to 30% chance for actual measurable rainfall will be here by Thursday and Friday. So as I map you through it, you can see kind of what's happening. We've got a buildup of cloud cover, and then we're going to see these kind of showers basically working all around the region until Thursday afternoon. It looks like we've got one cell that's going to be pushing on through, and again, the bulk of it, since this is tropical moisture, it's coming up from the south. south. The bulk should be south of the metro, but it is widespread moisture that I think will be impacting the area Thursday and Friday, tapering off by Saturday. By the numbers, you can see what that means for Flagstaff. 80 degrees, almost 80 tomorrow, dropping into the low 70s by Friday. And for you and me, yep, get through it. 105 today, but then we are cooling off nicely. And yes, even welcoming in a chance at rain developing on Thursday.
Thank you, Ginger. As we head into the final few days of summer, our team in Denver is monitoring the records from the summer, plus the transition to the new season and what that means for daylight in Colorado. Let's get to our team now.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We have had some really interesting weather. We've had thunderstorms, tornadoes, snow, and then we had the aurora borealis, seen not one night, but 2 nights, and the color in the sky was glorious. But everybody's kind of focused on the snow that fell over elevated terrain over the weekend, and it's possible that we have a system this week that could bring more snow to the mountains. And this is the last full week of summer. The autumnal equinox is on Monday, and we may have seen our last 90-degree day here in the city with 47 days at 90 or better. The average is 46, so we're 1 day above the average. Even though it felt like this summer was really long and really hot, not necessarily one for the record books the way it looks now. We're tracking an incoming front from the north. It's going to usher in some wind, some cloud cover, and moisture for a round of afternoon showers and storms. A second front comes in tomorrow, and that will bring a reinforcing shot of moisture. So beneficial rain coming in for Denver and maybe some snow for the mountains, with a heavier thunderstorm activity out across South Dakota, Nebraska, and also right down into Oklahoma. So that's where we might see the travel impacts, even though we do have the potential for 1 or 2 strong, if not isolated, severe storms in east and northeastern Colorado. It's a level 1 out of 5, and the greatest threat would be heavy rain, possibly hail, and maybe some damaging wind. But we're getting late in the season for that. So we'll look for increasing clouds today, a cooler day, scattered showers and storms forming in the foothills between 2 and then between 3 and 5. That line of showers crossing Denver with a second wave coming through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. 50s to start this morning, 70s this afternoon, so not quite as warm as yesterday. 76 with a round of storms today, 68 tomorrow, a little drier Thursday, and then a little warmer heading into the weekend. Sunshine in 80s for Saturday and Sunday.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. We are in the final days of summer. This Tuesday, September 16th, will cool down a touch, especially for the Denver area. Upper 70s expected, but if you are dreaming of fall, officially the autumnal equinox will occur next Monday, September 22nd at 12:19 Mountain Time. So we have 6 days to go. But we want to talk more about what the changing of the seasons means in the weather department. The sun will cross the celestial equator, officially marking astronomical autumn here in the northern hemisphere, spring down in the southern hemisphere. That means that nearly the day and the nighttime will be equal in length. So we want to look at the solstices for the summer and the winter. Daylight hours, it's 5 hours and 38 minutes more sunlight in the summer than we typically see in the winter at this time of the solstice. And coming up this Friday, so before we officially enter into the autumn season, it is our last 7 p.m. sunset here in town of 2025. So the winter solstice, that won't be until December the 21st at 8:03 in the morning. Changing of the seasons, though, as you can see from our 7-day forecast, it will gradually warm back up. So the weather, Wednesday will be the coolest day with upper 60s, and we are bracing for more widely scattered storms and showers today. Tomorrow, a front rolled in late last night. It'll drop our highs to the upper 60s for Wednesday, low 70s with an isolated storm chance on Thursday. Slightly above average, though, as we officially kick off the fall season next Monday. Daytime highs set to be in the low 80s, so enjoy this shoulder season. It's a beautiful time of the year. The leaves are changing and the temperatures will warm as we get into the end of the week with a drier weather pattern as well settling in.
Still ahead after the break, your local forecast from the Golden State and how tropical moisture is going to make it not so golden this week. Stay with us. Well, Welcome back to Weather Out West. Tropical storm Mario is churning in the eastern Pacific. Here's that current location right now. This storm will move to the north, hugging the Baja Peninsula coast. You can see the track there through the next about day and a half or so. I do want to show you the future cast and what we're going to see here as Mario continues to move through the Pacific. So as of right now, you can see on the bottom left side of your screen, there's that moisture down there, down by Mexico, Baja, Mexico. So through the next days, I'm about to play this out. This is going to show you about the next 2.5 days. So here we are starting Tuesday, but through Tuesday, you watch it go through Southern California, venture up to Northern California. That gets us through Thursday, our daytime hours. So all that to say, the next couple of days, that tropical moisture is going to be moving through the West Coast, California specifically. You've already heard some mentions, but that moisture is going to bring changes to many of our West Coast communities in the next couple of days. You heard Ginger in Phoenix mention that. You just saw the track moving all the way through California. So California is going to be feeling a lot of that heavier rain, thunderstorm potential as well. So let's get to our California forecast. We'll start in Southern California. It's going to move from south to north with meteorologist Vanessa Paz and the timing of that rain in San Diego, which is replacing the heat that's still hanging on today.
Well, happy Taco Tuesday from San Diego, California. It is pretty fitting for us here in SoCal for Tuesdays to be from tacos. We're looking at really hot conditions this afternoon, and the temperatures are going to simmer down. We have a lot of changes on the way as we progress through the work week, and I'll get into some of those details in a moment. I do want to start things off with a look at our weather headlines as we get through our Tuesday. We are looking at warm temperatures. It's going to be hot this afternoon, especially for those areas away from the coast. We're talking about 90s pushing inland and 80s along the coast. And then tomorrow we'll be trading the heat for a lot of moisture, which could potentially squeeze out some showers widespread and even some pop-up thunderstorms widespread as well. And we'll talk about why this is all happening in a moment. For today's highs, you can expect 80s along the coastal areas. For our inland and mountain areas, we'll produce a lot of 90s to go around, high 80s for areas like Julian, which is a popular mountain neighborhood. And we'll top out in the low hundreds. We're back in the hundreds. In fact, in comparison to yesterday, a lot of those desert areas were socked into the 90s. All right, so here's our satellite and radar composite, and here's what's going to happen over the next few days. We'll have some incoming tropical moisture from the remnants of Tropical Storm Mario, but don't hold your breath when it comes to that surge of tropical flow, because we are looking at a secondary system this weekend that could bring even more showers. So here's what it looks like day by day percentage wise. We're looking at slim to none chances for rain this afternoon, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, things start to get active. And we're catching a little bit of a break on Saturday, and then it picks back up again Sunday and Monday in terms of that chance for shower activity. So here's one of our models, and it does showcase the influx of clouds, which is the reason why tomorrow is going to be a little on the cooler end. We'll have a lot more clouds in the mix. We'll continue to see that southerly flow tomorrow morning, and then by tomorrow night, especially as when we could have some widespread light showers. Now, as of right now, it looks like we could potentially see a pop-up thunderstorm or two, especially for the coastal areas tomorrow night into early Thursday. These models will change the closer we get to Wednesday and Thursday, but as of right now, some of our rainfall estimates are fairly ambitious, anywhere between ½ an inch to maybe close to 7/10. Again, these numbers and these estimates will change. That's just one of the models that we're looking at. Taking a look at tonight's lows, we are looking at mild conditions due to the influx of those clouds. We can expect those overnight lows to stay fairly warm in the high 60s. And we're not even talking about those mild temperatures, which typically are confined to the coastal areas, but we're seeing them spread all the way towards interior parts of the county. So you can expect a pretty warm night ahead. Here's what's on tap for tomorrow versus where we should be for this time of year. Notice how temperatures cool down, and we're actually a lot closer to our 30-year normal. However, despite those cooler conditions, it's going to feel uncomfortable out, pretty gross, more like Florida and Hawaii because of that tropical flow that we're expecting. The coast and inland valleys, you can expect daytime highs to climb into the high 70s. Notice how we really have subtle daily changes all the way through the middle of next week. In fact, we'll stay in this pattern of the high 70s, and once we get there, we don't see too much fluctuation all the way through next Tuesday. We'll top out in the mid 80s tomorrow, so about a 5 to 7 degree drop in daytime highs, and we'll stay in that range all the way through about Friday. A little bit of a climb in daytime highs come this weekend. We'll be inching closer to that 90-degree mark, but most of us are going to stay in the high 80s on average all the way through next week. Now let's talk about the mountains and desert areas. As of right now, there are no watches, warnings, and advisories, but again, with the uptick of this moisture and that instability entering our region, that could very well change over the next 24-48 hours. Taking a look at the mountain highs, tomorrow we'll see them drop into the low 80s, and then even more so Thursday and Friday. Regardless, these temperatures are a lot closer to where we should be for this time of the year. Remember though, it's just going to feel sticky, a little gross out. We'll be in the high 90s starting Wednesday, and then we're in the low 90s starting Thursday all the way through the weekend.
Thanks, Vanessa. We now go to meteorologist Monica Woods in Sacramento. With the heat that's still hanging on there today, but that is where the tropical moisture is heading next. Here's Monica with the details.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods looking at our regional headlines. We've got a lot of changes, some late summer heat to kick us off for the beginning of our week, and then a big change. We're tracking a tropical system that will actually bring us cooler weather, but also showers and thunderstorms. So for the coast, we've got sunny and warm conditions. Heat risk continuing for the valley. For the foothills, sunny and dry, and sunny and warm for this year as well, getting a little bit of a break from the active weather. But you can see we're still under that moderate heat risk zone here for our Wednesday. Even some pockets there, some major heat risk. That's going to start to subside by the time we get into our Thursday, because of a big weather shift. We're going to be tracking Tropical Storm Mario. Now, this is a system right now that will become a low pressure system by the time we get into our later week forecast. Extratropical low that moves in through Southern California, but just with that counterclockwise circulation, we have the potential of bringing in some of those showers as far north to Sacramento. So let's get into tracking it. For our Tuesday, we're still sunny, dry, warm, unseasonably warm conditions, not necessarily record territory, but certainly well above average. And then we head into our Wednesday. We're starting to see some signals of some changes here. By the evening, some of those clouds trying to press their way northward here. Again, that's from that tropical system, Mario. Heading into our Thursday afternoon, here's where we see more in the way of clouds and even some showers starting to pop up. That expands into our Thursday evening, even into our Friday. So taking it day by day here. Tuesday, still unseasonably warm, moderate to major heat risk throughout much of northern and central California. Highs will be near 80 for the Tahoe Basin with mostly sunny skies and sunshine again through the foothills with highs in the upper 90s to near 100. We certainly see the 100s here throughout the northern San Joaquin Valley, central San Joaquin Valley as well through Fresno. 81 for Sequoia and Kings National Park as well as Yosemite in the low 90s. A warm Tuesday afternoon. Heading towards the central coast, again, very warm conditions, minimal low clouds and fog. We're looking at mostly sunny skies. Highs in the upper 60s, low 70s, even some low 80s in there for Big Sur. Head inland, that's where we get deep into the 100s. It's widespread 100s throughout the San Joaquin Valley. The Bay Area forecast, again, unseasonably warm, 70s, low 80s, even upper 90s by the time we get into some of the coastal valley communities. Along the northwest coast, we got the cooler weather here, 60s and 70s, but inland areas are deep into the 90s, even a couple of 100s trying to sneak in there. For the capital region, highs will be again mid to upper 90s for our Tuesday. That's going to put us roughly about 10 degrees above average for our Tuesday forecast. Heading into the rest of the week, we've got those big changes unfolding, mainly Thursday into Friday. That's when we'll see that drop in temperatures, plus the increased chance of some showers and thunderstorms. Could see new lightning sparked fires. This is one of those situations. We've got a lot of dry fuel out there, and the potential with the lightning strikes, certainly for the mountains and the hills, would illustrate the potential of new lightning sparked fires. Then we get some showers continuing Friday, even into Saturday for our last weekend, at least the beginning of it, of summer. For the coast, it's a mix of sun and clouds here. Highs will drop as well for the coastal communities, will be right around 70 or so Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So breaking it down for the valley forecast, still have that heat risk Tuesday into Wednesday. Highs roughly about 10 degrees above average. We start to drop those temperatures on Thursday. Chance of thunderstorms heading our way. Chance of lingering showers Friday and Saturday, and Friday's high only about 80 degrees. Again, that's roughly 10 degrees below average. Wrapping up this final weekend of summer, kind of a mixed bag of weather there before we have that autumnal equinox next week.
Thank you, Monica. Still ahead after the break, we'll go back to the inland Northwest and talk about our forecasts in eastern Washington and Idaho. Plus, later on, we'll take you to space and show you some cool images captured, plus a rocket launch and the mission it's now on. Those stories are later on in Weather Out West. Welcome back to Weather Out West. You heard Rich talk about the massive warm-up today in western Washington. Eastern Washington has a similar sizzle. Meteorologist Thomas Patrick is in Spokane with the forecast there. Thomas?
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. A weird-looking forecast for this week after having a very cold fall-like day yesterday and still this morning, but we'll be right back into the summer weather by this afternoon. So it feels like we're doing the seasons backwards, going from fall to summer through the course of this week. It's all in the temperatures, and it's been one of the coldest mornings in months here locally, but we'll have summer-like afternoons to finish out the rest of the summer season in what should be a very classic-looking summer forecast, save for maybe a little bit of some extra low cloud cover. So this is Coeur d'Alene, the lake below, and the low cloud cover above. Some of the recent rainfall we've gotten recently is contributing to some of this low cloud cover and even fog in some locations, and that has been the case across northeastern Washington and far north Idaho. All this little dots of white here that are just finding themselves in the valleys in between those mountain ranges has materialized as either low cloud cover or outright fog, especially in northeastern Washington, through a few hours this morning. Now, as the summer sunshine is overhead, should help to erode away that fog and cloud coverage and help that moisture to release a little bit more. So shouldn't stay cloudy all day long. In fact, many areas already sunny as of this Tuesday. But boy, was it cold in Spokane with a low temperature of 49 degrees. That has been the coldest day since June 22nd. That was the last time it was in the 40s to start the day here. But by the way, that's the average low temperature. It's been warm to start the September. And guess what? We're still above average even for high temperatures today as the summer sunshine is still going to win out. I had mentioned some of the recent rainfall, this from this last Sunday and Monday combined, about 1/3 of an inch. Not a whole lot, but way more than we've seen through the whole summer season. Actually, I think that's about 2 or 2.5 times as much rain in 2 days than it was the previous 3 months in a row. So that's a decently significant mark for the inland Northwest to see up to 4/10 of an inch of rain. But no more. Back to just dry and sunny and consistently warm conditions day after day. High pressure has helped to bump out that cloud cover and moisture from Monday now off to the east. So high temperatures recover mightily today. The high in Spokane on Monday was 60 degrees. Today, the forecast is 81. So more than 20 degrees warmer in just the course of a single day. That is a significant bump up temperature-wise for eastern Washington and North Idaho for that matter. And more summer heat is on the way. Look at the forecast for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Mid-80s. That would match the average high temperature of mid-July and not so much mid-September. So this is the last official week of summer, and that's going to win out. Really, Monday was a fluke compared to the rest of the forecast here. And by the way, those temperatures won't be even as cold at night either. Now, as we look at next week, which would be the first week of the fall season, we could trend a little bit wetter than average, but I might need more convincing if it's going to be warmer than average at the same time. This would not feel like that season-ending rain event that would more permanently put us into the fall season. Instead, the forecast still looks sunny and dry for the next 7 days in a row at minimum. So the rest of this week, it's not going to be cloudy or in the 60s. Instead, we are low to mid 80s every single day in Spokane through this Saturday, only easing back into the mid 70s for the first day of fall.
And let's head to nearby Idaho now. Hector Mendoza is in Boise with the forecast.
Hello, my name is Hector Mendoza, forecasting out of Boise, Idaho, and I wanted to show you guys, before I jumped into this forecast, a beautiful sunset photo that we got sent and posted on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. Glenn C. Wright sent us this, a beautiful and amazing photo out there. As you can see, some of those oranges, some yellows, and then some pinks and purples that you can see coming through some of those clouds. Just an amazing photo. Thank you, Glenn, for that. But the biggest thing we're going to notice is some of the leaves up front, as some of those are going to start to change their color into the next month or so. So as we move on some of these leaves, we're going to start to see we're getting into fall season as we get closer into Monday. So we still got some time, but that fall season begins on the 22nd of September, and it comes along at around 12:19 in the afternoon. And so we've got about 6 days, so down to single digits, that is, here left on days of summer here for 2025. And so we're going to see some of those warmer temperatures come along right as we get towards this final week. But we did have some very cool temperatures yesterday, as it felt pretty fall-like here into the low 70s for Nampa and Boise, mid 70s for Caldwell, Ontario, and even Mountain Home. And some of the temperatures out into the mountains got into the low 60s, with Haley hitting right at 70. And as we look down into the Magic Valley, we see that some of those temperatures as well into the low 70s there for yesterday afternoon. Now today, we're going to climb up just a bit, as we're going to see a ridge of high pressure start to build, bringing us some drier conditions and warmer temperatures here for this afternoon. Low 80s for the Treasure Valley, low 70s for the mountains, and we're expecting the mid 70s to come along there for Jerome and Twin Falls and other spots there into the Magic Valley. But as we look on ahead into tomorrow, these are some of the temperatures and the conditions we're going to be seeing here in Boise as we get into the mid 80s there for tomorrow. So continuing to make another jump in temperature there for tomorrow. What continues and sticks around is going to be some of those sunnier conditions, clear all the way through the evening, and much lighter winds is what we're anticipating. So some spots could see some fog as we wake up in the morning, and most of that sticks around to some of the mountain valley areas, but we could see some of those foggier conditions, some patchy fog there through the Treasure Valley into tomorrow night. But as we look at what we're expecting here for today, this ridge of high pressure is going to continue to build and bringing us those warmer temperatures there, not just today, but into the next couple of days as we get closer into the weekend. So again, we're going to take a look here at this upper level pattern, and we're going to bring in that system and fast forward here through the middle of the week. We see that those temperatures continue at its warmest there Thursday. That continues on into Friday before we start to see the system start to weaken just a bit as we get closer into the weekend. The next system that comes in brings us some clouds, might see a chance for some moisture to make it up north into our area, and brings us a slight chance of some showers as we start to look at Sunday. Those temperatures will definitely drop. We'll have more clouds there Friday into Saturday, but there is a slight chance that we could see some showers. It's still far away in terms of how far away the days are, but we are going to keep an eye on that and pay attention to some of the shower chances we're expecting as we get closer into the weekend. So again, as we look at some of those temperatures, upper 80s all the way through Thursday and Friday, down into the low 80s as we get on into Sunday. And as we look at the 7-day forecast here, we'll continue into those upper 70s through Friday, cool off into the low 70s there into Sunday, again with those slight chance of showers that come along Sunday afternoon. Then we'll bring in more of that sunshine and temperatures back up to near 80 on Tuesday. We look at the 7-day forecast here in Twin Falls, and things are looking pretty similar with a lot more sunshine coming along there through Thursday, cloudier conditions into Friday, and back down into those low to upper 70s there as we get on into Monday to start off the fall season there on Monday. And that is exactly what we're going to be seeing here for our 7-day forecast in Boise, as we'll see that upward trend into the upper 80s, partly cloudy skies. So we'll see some of that sunshine coming along Friday into Saturday, and then we'll drop down some of those temperatures again into the upper 80s. Morning temperatures will start to climb up as well, getting into the upper 50s. And then we're going to get to the first day of fall on Monday on the 22nd with temperatures into the 80s, and a lot more sunshine that comes along for the beginning of next week.
Thanks, Hector. Still ahead after the break, we showed you your West Coast. We are going to take a look at our national forecast and look at the tropics brewing in the Mid-Atlantic as well. Welcome back. As we showed you, our weather out west is interesting as we watch lingering summer heat, Tropical Storm Mario, and the transition to fall. Meteorologist Julie Martin joins us now with a look at the national picture and the tropical activity cooking in the Atlantic.
Well, we are watching a coastal storm, an area of low pressure off the mid-Atlantic coastline. That's going to bring some gusty conditions, some rainfall to places like the Outer Banks. Also, a big warm-up in the Midwest and the Mid-South, a return to summer, and cooler along the southeastern coast of the U.S. Here are those forecast highs for your Tuesday. We will see the 80s across much of the Midwest. Some of those will be high 80s from Minneapolis to Des Moines at 88. We've got the heat here in the Mid-South, 90s from St. Louis into Memphis and Louisville. 70s and 80s though once we head into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, where we will see some of that rain from that coastal low. 80s there in Atlanta, 87 in Jacksonville. We'll see the 90s from New Orleans over to Texas. Triple digits once again in Phoenix. Comfortable though in San Diego. Hot in Sacramento, and then a warm up after a brief cool down in the Pacific Northwest. Overall, a fairly quiet day, though. We do have a few watches and warnings, mostly confined to the Mid-Atlantic because of that low pressure system. That's going to bring the gusty winds, maybe a little coastal flooding, so we've got some advisories for you there. But other than that, pretty quiet out there. That goes for that severe weather threat as well. We're at a level 1 out of 5 here in green along the Front Range, so really just looking for maybe some isolated storm development. Nothing organized, looking very likely though for Tuesday. So other than that, we will mainly stay quiet. We will see a few travel delays, possibly some minor to moderate delays in places like the Front Range there, as I mentioned, with that weather that could develop. Also in the Midwest here, and then of course in the Mid-Atlantic region, we will see some very gusty conditions in places like Virginia into North Carolina. So that could actually slow you down. Let's take it region by region right now. Seattle, you're going to be falling back into the 70s after a warm 84. Portland, you'll be back in the 70s by Thursday. Everyone else looking pretty nice and hanging in the 80s. What about the Southwest? Looks like San Diego, you're in for a beautiful forecast, right around 80 degrees by Wednesday. A little warmer though today. Sacramento will stay hot but cools off briefly by Thursday. Denver, it looks like you're going to cool off back into the 60s, and that's going to be because of some of that rainfall. Triple digits for the most part in Phoenix, 90s and sunny skies across Texas, and then heading into the deep south, looks like pretty typical weather conditions here. We've got the 80s and 90s, but warmer as we head into the mid-south. That's a place like Memphis, 94 degrees Wednesday and Thursday. Louisville, you'll be in the 90s. Beautiful weather there in Charlotte, though, warming up to 86 by Thursday. Minneapolis, looks like some rain could be headed your way by Thursday. That's going to knock down those temperatures for you. Everyone else, though, stays in the 80s. And we have the 70s and 80s in play all the way from New England into the Mid-Atlantic. That rain should clear out for you in places like Norfolk by Thursday.
Still up next, we've been talking about everything within the atmosphere. Let's leave the atmosphere and head to space. I'll show you some incredible images just captured from the Milky Way galaxy and details on a rocket just launched and how it will support the mission to the moon. The journey to space continues. Right now, a spacecraft is on the way to the International Space Station with a very important mission. This is a visual of the launch of the Cygnus XL. It launched Sunday from Florida and is expected to land on the ISS tomorrow. It's carrying 11,000 pounds of scientific investigations and cargo. This will support Artemis missions to the moon and human exploration of Mars and beyond. The landing on the ISS will be live streamed tomorrow morning on NASA Plus and Amazon Prime. All right, and let's stay in space and show you some incredible images just captured. The Webb telescope caught these spectacular fireworks, oh my goodness, on the outskirts of the Milky Way galaxy. Scientists at NASA described the eruption of gases as a, quote, volcanically growing monster star. Some have compared the light show to a double-bladed lightsaber from Star Wars. Kind of see it there. Yep, you see that explosion? NASA scientists say there could be other massive stars like this one in the universe. The information about this new star is expected to be published soon in the Astrophysical Journal. All right, a lot going on in both space and also our atmosphere as well. That does it for us here on Weather Out West on this Tuesday, September 16th. Oh my goodness, less than a week away from the start of fall. Of course, fall equinox is September 22nd. We'll be keeping a close eye on that. Thank you so much for staying with us for today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day.